Good evening and welcome to Greater Somerville for September 13th, 2011. I'm Cayenne Anderson. Before we begin tonight, I wanted to take a quick moment and send a message of care and support to my co-host Joe Lynch, his 3 sisters and their families, and most importantly, his 98-year-old mother, Anna Lynch. Anna suffered from a stroke this past weekend and is currently at Mount Auburn Hospital, surrounded by family and friends, enjoying her final days. I had the pleasure of meeting Anna years ago when Joe and I became friends, and I can personally say that she is truly an amazing and feisty woman with a kind soul and a passion for life. While this time is indeed a challenging one for the Lynch family, I am certain that they are thankful to have had this remarkable woman in their lives as long as they did. Truly, Anna is one of a kind and has touched the lives of many. Joe, please know that you and your family are in our thoughts and prayers. And on tonight's show, we take a sidestep from the political arena to have an important discussion that is near and dear to many of us: urban transportation and the Somerville bike culture. With the recent momentum and the buzz stemming from the Hubway bike sharing program enacted by Mayor Tom Menino, Somerville and other communities are looking to follow suit with this idea by replacing the vehicular congestion on our roads with more of the 2-wheel variety. And because of this buzz, we thought it was an important episode to dedicate Greater Somerville to urban transportation because it will impact our city in a very positive way. My guests tonight know all too well the important connection between the success of urban transportation and the vibrancy of Somerville as a community. Collectively, they have dedicated many years toward the efforts of changing the way people view public transportation, urban transportation in Somerville and beyond. Tonight, we'll find out a little more about what they are up to and their thoughts on the Somerville bicycle culture as a whole. My first guest, Charlie Denison, holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in computer science and works as a software developer for a financial services company in Boston, Massachusetts. He is a passionate advocate for better streets for bicycling, walking, and transit. Charlie has worked with Livable Streets Alliance of Cambridge since 2004 and has been on the board of directors since 2007. His primary focus has been direct advocacy through government agencies, local media, and other local organizations. In addition to his role with Livable Streets, he is also a member of the Somerville Bicycle Committee. He is the design committee chair with the Alston Village Main Streets and is an active member of the Mass Bike Metro Boston chapter. A daily and year-round bike commuter, Charlie called Somerville home for the past 4 years and lives near Porter Square. My second guest, Wenzday Jane, is the CEO of her Somerville-based business, Metro Pedal Power, that has been providing eco-friendly delivery services to the greater Boston area since 2008. Founded on the premise that we use human power, not fossil fuel, Metro Pedal Power uses emissions-free pedal trucks to haul deliveries up to 500 pounds for local businesses who want to help the environment, but also want to keep Wenzday and her staff in amazing shape. In addition, she also is on the board of directors of the Livable Streets Alliance since 2010. And as a daughter of 2 parents who did not own cars, she has grown up using urban transportation. Her vision is that Metro Pedal Power will help build stronger, more resilient, and self-reliant communities that will foster human relationships. For the past 5 years, Wenzday has resided in the Union Square area. It is my pleasure to welcome for their first debut appearance on Greater Somerville, Wenzday and Charlie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cayenne.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell. This is the live call-in show. Viewers at home, if you want to call in and ask questions, 617-628-9876. You see at the bottom of the screen there. Just give us a little bit of time so we can kind of go over some things. There's a lot to talk about, and I know this is a very touchy subject, exciting subject everybody wants to talk about. So let's just get into this. As I am missing a page. You know what? I've taken a break, basically. I took a break. I might need to borrow part of your page. I apologize. So I've been on vacation, so to speak, and Joe hasn't been here. And it's my first day back, and there are all sorts of things, and I forgot my notes. So you can clearly tell that this is the first day of school. But anyway, So you two have lived in Somerville for some time, and you both have expressed to me your desires of using urban transportation and changing the way people feel about it. And tell me a little bit about why Somerville. Like, what was it that brought you both here?
Well, work brought me to Boston back in 2004. I originally grew up in Western Massachusetts, and most of my life up until that point had been driving to get just about everywhere.
Yeah.
The exception being probably at college. I went to UMass Amherst.
Okay.
And in college, I walked and bicycled a lot and also took the bus system there quite a bit.
Okay.
When I moved to Boston, it became pretty clear to me that it's not always necessary to use a car for every trip. Mm-hmm. And it was rather refreshing to experience that in my own life. So quickly after moving to Boston, I began walking more and biking more, taking the T. But all of those things I quickly realized could be improved a lot more.
Yeah.
Having those choices was great, but there was a long way to go that I felt to making them truly viable options for everyone. So I sort of began in the advocacy world when I lived in Boston. Mm-hmm. Then when I moved to Somerville, I sort of brought that advocacy with me. And Somerville is a lot like Boston in that it's a very vibrant place. It's dense. There's mixed use. There's houses and businesses and shops all together.
Yeah.
So it has the right land use and the right mix of people and buildings and places and things to do to really give people a lot of transportation options.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So when I moved here, it became clear that Somerville was sort of going along the same lines as Boston with how they think about transportation. So I wanted to really feed into that and participate in that discussion.
Fantastic. And now Wenzday, when did you arrive? You arrived 5 years ago in Somerville.
I actually lived in Somerville. In the early 90s was one of the first apartments that I had in the city, and always loved it. I just love the vibe. It's fun. It's quirky. It has, it's certainly an urban area, but
yeah.
It has a little bit more of a residential feel than living in the South End or even in other parts of Boston or Cambridge. So I kind of like that. It's homey. You can you feel comfortable in Somerville very easily, I feel like.
And is that why, now tell the viewers at home a little bit about your business. Is that why you decided to stick in Somerville? I don't know if you at home know this, and I'll let you go further on it, but if you've seen those bicycles, they're everywhere. Like every time, and after I met you that first time we had met, I was like, oh my God, there's the bicycle. They're the bicycles with these big, these little kind of caravans connected to them, and be kind to those people, because I think about that. I mean, I complain enough when I bike and I'm not carrying anything but a backpack, so I can imagine up to 500 pounds. Like, you must be in incredible shape. What was it about Somerville that brought the business to you, that you thought, okay, Somerville is where I want to be?
Yeah, we actually had a space. Originally we had an office in Cambridge and an auxiliary warehouse shop space that was located further down towards Sullivan Square, actually past Sullivan Square, so it was actually in Charlestown. When I found a Craigslist ad for shop space in Somerville, specifically Union Square, I was thrilled. It just seemed like the perfect spot. The great thing about Union Square is that for a distribution warehouse, it's very close to downtown Boston. It's very close to Cambridge. You can also access very easily the outskirts of Tufts, East Arlington, Watertown. So we really it's very. It's a great centrally located place, still affordable enough for a small, struggling business to make it, to survive.
But a business will call you. Basically, a smaller business, or can residents do it? Like for
certainly
farm shares, they call you and they say, okay, I've got this, you come and pick this up. In lieu of a van and all the pollutants that are out there, this is like a very eco-friendly way to do it. And do you need a certain time that they can call you, like 48 hours, and then you come and pick it up? Or do you how does that work? They just go onto your website?
Yeah, we have a few different types of customers. We have some people who are subscription-based, and that's the majority of our business is people who contract with us for their deliveries, either for their small business or for their farm shares. So, we do cater to different types of businesses.
And your fleet is growing?
Yeah.
How many people? How many bikes? There's got to be...
There's 7 of us now at Metro Pedal Power, and we have Probably about 10 vehicles. We have, so the trikes that are
like on your shirt,
pictured on my shirt. Those are the very noticeable ones with the big red toppers on them. We have 5 of those, and then a couple of other trikes that look a little different, like pickup style.
Okay.
And then we also have some smaller cargo bikes that just have 2 wheels, and then we have some trailers, and so we try. We have a very diverse fleet, because I think that in order to do what we do, we need to. In fact, I sort of believe in the diversity. And I think that it's. It certainly helps our fleet, because you can't really just have one vehicle that does all of the jobs, or one type of vehicle.
Yeah.
So we have different vehicles that suit different purposes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, listen, I just wanted to maybe we get started with the basic topic, but I just think from both of your perspective, it's going to be an interesting show to be able to, see how you feel about things that are going on, because this really is an exciting time in Somerville. I'm curious what you think about the Hubway launch, because I know Menino did the bike share in Boston. It's been absolutely successful. I understand that the city of Somerville and Cambridge and a couple other communities are looking at doing a trial run of it maybe in the fall of 2011, if not early 2012. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm curious if both of you feel that, in your experience, that Somerville is ready for that sort of a thing in terms of it being a friendly culture. I understand it gained a bronze level ranking from the League of American Bicyclists recently, which is pretty exciting because of its uptick in the bicycling infrastructure of 2010. So do you think we're ready for it? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's been really a fantastic success in Boston. I know when we were talking about ramping up to it, there were people that had said, the infrastructure isn't in place for it yet, it's not safe enough.
Yeah.
There isn't enough education about how to bicycle safely. There was a concern about making helmets accessible to people, which actually the city has done by partnering with other retail locations and Walgreens and CVS. Yep. So the city sort of proactively is trying to address all the concerns and needs that come along with the system at the time they launched it, which is not unlike any of the other cities that it was launched in. And the city actually just released some statistics based on the first month of Hubway. And within the first month alone, there were over, 36, let's see if I have this right. In the first month alone, they signed up over 2,300 members, and there were over 36,000 trips. So that's a station-to-station trip on bicycles.
That's amazing. And now, for the viewers at home that may not know about it, basically what it is, it's like a rack of bikes that you've been seeing in the city, and you can go and either be an annual member, like a regular membership, or I think it's like a casual member for visitors, because obviously you want to get their money too. And you put your money in and you go, and then you have to return the bike. You can't take it home or anything. And it's just a way to get around the city in a quicker manner. And I don't think the Segway thing really took off, so this is really a better alternative. Although I see them around. So, Wenzday, what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? Is it going to impede on your business?
No,
They're going to be getting in your way?
Certainly not. In fact, I'm always thinking about ways that we can make use of them somehow in our logistics, but haven't done that yet. No, I think Hubway is great. I think that the mayor of Boston, Mayor Menino, certainly did a good job getting the program up and running, and we'll see. I think that cyclists on the road have definitely, the number of cyclists on the road. Really I've been
increased,
a commuter. Even before I was started this company, I was just biking everywhere all the time, year round, and you used to have you out in the wintertime, there was no one else around on the road.
Except Charlie.
Yeah, it was like we would, if you passed another cyclist, it was
kind of like you have to do like a wave.
Wow, yeah, definitely. And now I think there's definitely a lot more cyclists on the road, so I certainly think Somerville is ready.
Okay. We have a caller there. If you want to press that button. Hello, welcome to Greater Somerville. You're on the air.
How you doing?
Good. What can I do for you?
I have 3 questions. I'll just give the 3 questions and then hang up.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Number 1, why did the people in Massachusetts spend millions of dollars on bike paths? to have people ride bikes in the street? Number two, what's going to happen when the insurance companies, the motorists, and all those people have to pay taxes and gas taxes and excise taxes, etc.?
Would they have to pay back?
Turn around and say, well, the bike's going to use the streets, so they could have the same thing and have to have licenses and responsibility. And three, the mayor talks about tight physical times, so would he take on a bike program where he might be involved in lawsuits when something happens with the bikes on the streets? So you can answer them back to me. Thank you.
Okay, good questions. Thank you. You can just press that button one more time. That hung up. Oh, yeah, pick up the phone, I think. Yeah, there you go. Great questions. I mean, what do you think? It definitely is something. The more congestion, I do think that congestion itself is a concern in Somerville, and I think the hopes of the hubway coming to the Somerville area is, in fact, to take some of that car congestion off the streets. But I do agree that the point of, and I'll let you guys answer, the point of legally, you know, I think there are a lot of bicyclists that aren't, unfortunately, as law-abiding as they should be. And I'm for one, and this is my own opinion, that the law enforcement, you know, they should start being a little stricter on ticketing for bicyclists to at least start a precedence if there are going to be that much more, you know, bicyclists on the road. What do you guys think?
I mean, actually, with the launch of Hubway, Boston has been proactively trying to increase safety for motorists and bicyclists. And recently, the state police have also joined the forces. And we've witnessed the state police on the Longfellow Bridge pulling over motorists who are driving too fast to help increase safety for everyone. And the city of Boston has also been ticketing with a written warning bicyclists along the BU Bridge who are running red lights. So they're really trying to target both motorists and cyclists to increase sort of the compliance with the law and safety in general.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's the basic argument that, you know, is I think the most common when you see the comment threads on these Boston Herald articles or, you know, online, the discussion boards and whatnot, is that cyclists they run rampant and they don't follow any rules and they run red lights and
but they do on some occasions. They do on some occasions.
Some people run red lights. Some people drive like maniacs. Some
this is
people
a good point,
jaywalk. I think when you you know, certainly there. I mean, I think cycling is going to be very difficult to regulate, primarily because you know, for the past, I don't know, 75 years, all of the rules of the road have basically been written with motor vehicles, you know, high-speed motor vehicles in mind.
So we might have to rewrite that.
You know, and there was an initiative to write, I think Mass Bike was pushing for an initiative to write vulnerable road users laws that treat people differently who are, you know, not protected by a shield of a ton of metal and glass that is, you know, crash resistant. You know, so I think that there are steps that need to happen to make the roads more balanced. I mean, I am out on the road now as a delivery driver all day long. So I witness interactions and, you know, people doing stupid things, people, you know, with their Sony, you know, Walkmans, with their iPods, walking into traffic. I mean, everybody does things that are not so bright sometimes. And you can't really blame, cyclists or pedestrians or drivers. You know, it's... There's things that happen, and some people, you know, sometimes people make mistakes, but you know, I think that there's a path to go on to regulate cycling, and you know, personally, I think that there should be less regulation all around, but that's my personal political
Well, it could be one of those things that once the swell, you know, there's going to definitely be an uptick, and there has been, I think, with the cyclists. Once that happens, it's kind of like the college kids come back. I hate saying that. I'm sorry, college kids, but like, you come back, and I can't find a parking spot, and it's just a little crowded, and I'm hoping that, you know, people will get more used to there being more cyclists on the road, and then maybe, you know, the ticketing that you're talking about could, in fact, with the cyclists, generate a little more revenue and take down the...
As advocates, we always tell bicyclists, you know, the safest and the most courteous thing to do is obey the traffic laws.
Yeah, no,
Be respectful to all the other road users, even if they're not respectful to you, because the only way that we're going to change the atmosphere and the attitude is to behave in a way that we want everyone else to behave.
No, I think that's a good point.
And you were mentioning, along with more bicyclists
Yeah.
coming, how that can be an improvement. And that's actually
Yeah.
true, that as more bicyclists take to the street, you end up with more sort of quote-unquote regular people who are not the risk takers and
Yeah.
are not the bicycle messengers who,
Oh, the
who are
couriers,
willing,
they're fast,
who are willing
yeah.
to take risks and really flaunt the laws. So as you have more sort of regular people, quote-unquote, bicycling, and as you have more infrastructure that encourages it,
Yeah.
people feel more comfortable on the road, they feel safer, and they're more likely to obey the traffic laws.
So now here's a question. I'm skipping around a little bit because we've been talking about this for a while, but here's what I'll say. You got the bike share lane, you have a bike lane, and then there's like the bike share, which is kind of like this pseudo bike lane. Yeah, like, what is that? I mean,
It's just
because
there, yeah, I mean, it's basically there to, because legally there's not enough space
Okay, that's what I thought.
to delineate the 4 feet or whatever it is for bike lanes, but it's there to remind cars that there might be bikes, so to,
you think it helps?
I think it does.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that having those signs, is helpful.
Okay.
So I think what you're referring to are actually called sharrows, and
Sharrows, sorry.
basically
I don't know the
it stands,
professional.
It stands for share the road marking or share
Okay.
the lane marking.
Okay.
And it essentially is a bicycle with a chevron symbol above it.
Yep.
And it's just striped within a regular travel lane, and it shows bicyclists where they can ride safely away from parked cars, and it shows motorists that they should expect to see bicyclists on the roadway.
Yeah.
The interesting thing in advocacy when we're talking about bike lanes versus sharrows is that deciding which to use is really less of an engineering issue, and it becomes much more of a political issue. Because in the
Really?
city we only have so much space between
Yeah.
buildings, between curbs.
You'd have to take out parking.
Right. So
Yeah.
on some streets we're
Just start.
fortunate where there's enough width without moving anything around except for maybe narrowing the travel lanes a little bit that you
Yeah.
can fit a bicycle lane. On other streets there isn't room without either removing a travel lane or removing parking, and that becomes less a decision about what to do technically, but what are we willing to trade off to gain the bicycle lane. And I think sometimes the advocates are winning in that respect, and sometimes we're quote unquote losing, but sharrows are sort of a good interim solution when we don't quite have the political power for the full bike lane.
Okay. Well, here's a question for you. You're both involved with Livable Streets Alliance, which I think is a great organization. Now, it is in Cambridge, but it's close to Somerville, and I figured they were both Somerville residents, so they were in. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because I know that there's a number of initiatives there, and interestingly enough, and I need to bring up the Boston Herald's article that was published actually today, because there's this whole Somerville, Cambridge kind of, everybody's fighting like we're trying to be better than them or different. But what I would say is that it's interesting, in the Boston Herald today, Cambridge came out as a not so safe place to bike, based upon some, studies that they've been conducting, and so a lot of people are alarmed by that. But one of the reasons why they said that was the case was because they're very good about reporting every accident, anything that involves a motor vehicle and a bicycle. Why did you guys get involved? We've only got about 5 more minutes, a couple more minutes actually, because we've got a few things to say. But what got you involved with Livable Streets, and what are some things that you decided, you were passionate enough about to get involved?
Mm-hmm. Well, I originally started in advocacy working with Mass Bike, and it's a great organization doing statewide bicycle advocacy, and they've been very successful over the years. And as I was volunteering with them, I ran into some other people who were just starting up Livable Streets at the time, and they sort of pitched the idea to me about really taking a complete streets approach to transportation and really encompassing all modes of transportation and trying to bring together a lot of the disparate advocacy groups that unfortunately over the years by government agencies have sort of been pitted against each other to try to fight for space on the street. So that idea of really tying everyone together in an alliance and thinking about all the modes comprehensively really strengthened the advocates and really appealed to me personally to be successful at redesigning the streets for everyone.
Okay, and what about you?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly the point, is that you can't just say, I'm advocating for cyclists' rights, or I'm advocating for pedestrian rights. I mean, you can, but I think it's much smarter to look at the roads, comprehensively. It's really the one place where we're all common. We all need to use the roads, and I think we all need to, have a little more respect for each other on the roads. If I can just get that point in there.
She looked at the camera. It was good. Good point. Good point.
But certainly, Livable Streets, in terms of advocacy, is was really the first primary one who was looking at the comprehensive design plans and ways to balance balance in motor vehicle traffic with an environment where that isn't toxic for people to be in.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the street designs over the past 50 years have just been so car-centric that individuals walking on the street, it's not pleasant. In fact, there's plenty of places where there aren't even sidewalks or crosswalks or places for people to walk.
So I know that you, or Livable Streets Alliance, has been involved with the Grounding McGrath study.
Yes.
And there's actually a meeting coming up on when is the meeting? It's on the 20th, I believe?
Yes, well, there's actually 2 meetings coming up. So Livable Streets has started our own initiative. We're calling it the McGrath Corridor Coalition.
Okay.
And the objective is to tie together community groups and community members and advocacy groups to all rally around the 20 to 30 projects all happening along the McGrath.
So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So we're trying to sort of inspire a grand vision driven by the community that we can bring to both this Grounding McGrath study, which is a Mass DOT study, and to these other projects. So we're having our first public meeting with the McGrath Corridor Coalition. That is tomorrow, Wednesday, September 14th at 6:30 p.m. at the Argenziano School in Somerville. So the public is definitely invited to attend and share your thoughts with us.
Okay.
And then next week, is the first public meeting by Mass DOT of the Grounding McGrath study, which is a 1-year study to rethink the McCarthy overpass near Union Square and a whole segment of that street, which the city wants to take down the overpass. The Mass DOT would love to take down the overpass.
Okay.
So they're presenting their first findings with the public on that. That's next Tuesday, September 20th at 6 p.m., and that's at the Somerville High School. So we definitely invite everyone to come out to both of those meetings.
And you both agree you want it to come down Wednesday? What do you think? You want it to come down? McGrath High? You think that would be good? Good for bicyclists or motorists? I mean, it's going to be adjustment period, that's for sure, but it's certainly ugly. As an architect, I can say that.
Certainly we have these roads that end up just being scars that divide neighborhoods. Like I was saying earlier, there's no sidewalks, there's no crosswalks. I think something certainly, we could come up with a better plan.
Yeah. So I'd encourage everyone to go out to those meetings. We don't have quite the time tonight to do any additional upcoming events, so check out your local blogs and the City Hall website. And I would like to personally thank our guests, Charlie Denison and Wenzday Jane, for stopping by Greater Somerville tonight and sharing their thoughts on urban transportation and the Somerville bicycle culture, who we are, where we're going. Urban transportation is something that is going to be increasingly important in the years to come as our cities and roads get more and more congested. Fortunately, at least for Somerville, we have people and residents like Charlie and Wenzday leading the pack, and that's making Somerville a much better place to be. So thank you all for watching. That's it for us tonight. As always, Somerville, stay safe and stay informed. Good night.